ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. أما بعد، فقال الله في كتابه الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. Shall we begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Inna alhamdulillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu, that we ask for His help, we seek His help. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh, that we ask for His forgiveness. Wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi, and we believe in Him. And we place all of our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we place no trust in anything else, but we place all of our trust only in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ شُرُورِ أَنفُسِنَا, that we seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evil of our own selves. وَمِنْ سَيِّئَاتِ أَعْمَالِنَا, and then from all of the evil things that we do. We seek only refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from those evils. So those are evils that are within ourselves and within the actions that we commit. وَمِنْ سَيِّئَاتِ أَعْمَالِنَا مَنْ يَهْدِهِ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى فَلَا مُضِلَّ لَهُ, that nobody who is guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be misguided. وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ فَلَا هَادِيَ لَهُ, and nobody who's misguided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be guided. So nobody who has been guided or misguided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can change their course. We can only do what we're supposed to do, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in charge of all of the hearts. And we also say that we are pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as our Lord and our Master, as the only Master that we could have, as the only Master that is worthy of being worshipped. And that we're pleased with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as the last messenger and as our messenger. That he did what he was supposed to do, and he did it completely. And he did everything that he was supposed to do. And we're pleased with Islam as our way of life, as our deen, as our religion, as something that we stand up for. The topic that I wanted to cover and sort of talk about today is a very basic topic. And it's a topic that talks about our intentions and our sincerity in our intentions. So before we talk about this topic specifically, I wanted to just put ourselves in a specific situation. So just imagine that we live somewhere where just by believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that puts our life in risk. Imagine that you live in a house that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that house is not worshipped. And if you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you can be in trouble. That your life could be in danger. That you live in a country where if you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then your life could be in danger because of that. Either you could be harmed physically, or you could be kicked out of your land or of your house. Imagine that there's a people around you that just because you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those people will fight you and try and kill you. Now, this time, a lot of times when we think about these types of situations, we think, this is just the story of the Sahaba. This is just stuff that went on in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That it doesn't really happen nowadays. But this is the type of situation that a lot of the Muslims are in other parts of the world. Just because we may not feel too much difficulty practicing our faith here, doesn't mean that other Muslims in other parts of the world are not facing difficulties because of their belief. What stance would we have? What belief, what sincerity would we have in our belief if we were told that if we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we could be killed? And there's a pretty famous story that's going around for the last couple of months. And it's about a person that is in Syria. And this is probably a story that most of us have heard at least one time, if not multiple times, but it's always good to have a reminder. But there's a young man that lives in Syria, and we know of all the difficulty that the people in Syria are going through. Inshallah, Allah helps them go through all of these difficulties and has their victory at the end. But so this man, he's somebody who's not really religious. He's not, it's not like he's somebody who's praying in the masjid 5 times a day, or he's out giving da'wah to the people and reminding them. He's a regular person. And he's actually somebody who's a little bit subpar in his religion. He doesn't even pray. He doesn't really do any of the obligatory acts. But when the soldiers came to him and they grabbed him, and they told him, to say La ilaha illa Bashar. So they told him to say that there's no God, there's no deity worthy of being worshipped other than Bashar. And he said that, no, I can't say it, I'm not going to say it. And they kept telling him that, we're going to torture you, we're going to kill you if you don't say this. And this person, he kept persisting in saying that I'm not going to say this, I can't say it. So, they're at the point where they're about to kill him. And they asked him, why are you not going to say this? And he said that throughout my entire life, I never made a good sajda, I never made one good prostration to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I believe that He is my Lord and He is the true, He is the deity that is worthy of being worshipped. And I never made a good prostration towards Him. So how can I, at the end of my life, make prostration, make a sajda to anybody other than Him? This is somebody, and they go ahead and they kill him. But this is someone that's not really religious. This is somebody that never made sajda to anything, let alone Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during his life. But at the end of his life, when he's given this opportunity, he takes advantage of this opportunity, and he draws close, and he comes close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with this opportunity. So, with us living in this country, with all of the different blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, how do we take advantage of these opportunities? How have we taken advantage of all of the mercies that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown us in this country? Would we be in that same situation? How would we have acted? How would we act if we were told the same thing? We must have this sincerity in our niyyah, in every single action that we do. We have to have this sincerity to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every single action, no matter what and no matter when. So whether we're at work and we have to go do wudu and pray during the workday, and we feel shy because we don't want anybody to come in and see us doing wudu in the bathroom, or we don't want somebody to walk by our cubicle or our little office and see us praying, prostrating on the ground because we feel shy, or whether it's in front of a lot of Muslims and one of those people is doing something bad, and we need to speak up, but we feel shy because we don't want to speak up and be the odd man out. So no matter what situation we're in, we have to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and have that sincerity in our actions at all times. So the next story, and this is the main story that I wanted to cover for today, and it's a story that really describes this in action. And it's a story of one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and it's a story that all of us have probably heard once, if not multiple times. And it's a story of Salman al-Farisi. But the thing is that most of the time we look at this story and we think, we look at the story and we see his example and we realize, he strove so much just to find the truth. But why was he striving so much to find the truth? Why did he have such a urge inside of him to go and find that truth? And the only reason that he had that urge was because he knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the one that he wanted to worship, that he needed to worship, and he needed to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he had this sincerity that was very deep-rooted, and this was the only reason that he was able to sacrifice basically his entire life in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we know that Salman, he grew up in a house that, it was a very powerful house. His dad was one of the leaders amongst the people, and they used to be magians. They used to worship the fire. And they were in a small town in present-day Iran, and in Isfahan. So this person, Salman's father, he was a very successful person. He used to do a lot of different things. He had a farm. He was doing, he was building some buildings, and he was a pretty wealthy person and a pretty very powerful person. And Salman, he only knew what was in front of him. His father kept him very protected throughout his entire life while he was with him. So much so that Salman says that he used to keep me like a slave girl in the house. So Salman, he didn't really have much experience with the outside world. And, he only knew one religion. He knew the religion that his people followed, that his father followed, that, his forefathers had followed. And, he climbed the ranks in his religion. He climbed up to the point where he was the one who kept the fire. So, the fire that they used to have one big fire, large fire in each town, and they would never let that fire go out. And he was the one that was put in charge of keeping that fire going and making sure that that fire never got weak and, that it never went out. So Salman, one day, he was with his father, and his father was very busy. He had one of his buildings, he had to go and tend to a matter at one of his buildings. So he told Salman to go to the farm and do a couple of things for him. So he sends Salman out, and he tells him before he sends him out, he says that, you're very dear to me. I love you very much, and that's why I protect you so much. But you are worth more to me than my farm, than my building, than everything. So don't take your time, don't get late, come back as quick as possible, do what I asked you to do and come back right away. So Salman, not having much experience with the outside world, when he's going to this farm, he's seeing things that he hasn't seen before. He's experienced things that he really hasn't experienced before. And on his way, he sees a little church or a little place where the Christians at the time were worshiping. And he hears what they were saying, and it sort of interests him. So he goes in and he asks them, he just starts asking them different questions, and he asks them, what do you worship? He liked the way that they were worshiping, the method that they were using. And he was just asking them a lot of different questions about what their belief was. And he was very interested in it, and he was very impressed by it. So, he's sitting there and he's learning all of these different things, and he completely loses track of time. So much so that he forgets completely about what his father told him to do. And he's still at the little church or the little place that they were worshiping, and the time has gotten late. It's after sunset, so his father is starting to get really worried, and he sends out people to go look for Salman. These people, they're going all around, they're looking for Salman, and nobody can find him. And all of a sudden, after Salman sort of comes to his senses, he realizes, I was supposed to do something and I got late. My father must be worried. He goes home and returns to his father. And he tells his father, I was at this church, and they were telling me all of these different things. This is what they believe, and I believe that their religion is better than our religion. And at this, Salman's father, he says that no, that can't be. Our religion is definitely better than theirs, and I know about their religion already. But Salman, instead of really prolonging this argument, he just sort of takes it. But since Salman's father saw that Salman was trying to, that he had this interest in this other religion, that he had this experience that was really, very impressive to him, he knew that Salman would be drawn out more and more frequently as well. So as a result, he tied him up inside of his own house. So Salman, he used to be kept in his house like a slave girl, but now he was actually tied up and really bound to his house. And he was basically imprisoned in his own house. He was able, though, to get a message out to the people, to the Christians in that church, and he sent them a message saying that if there's ever a caravan or a group of people that comes from somewhere where the center of your religion is, which was in Asham, if there's ever a caravan that comes from there, please let me know. I'm going to go with them. So after some time, the caravan, the Christians, they tell him that there's a caravan here from Asham. You can do with that information whatever you want to do. And Salman is actually able to escape his own imprisonment in his house, and he's able to go with that caravan. And that caravan takes him all the way to Syria. And he asks, once he gets there, about the most learned man of this religion. And they direct him to one of the bishops. And this bishop is a very evil man. And Salman says that he used to take all of the donations of the people, and he used to keep them for himself. He used to, he never used to help anybody. And he was one of the most evil people that Salman had ever met in his entire life. But this guy, he got really old. And towards the end of his life, when he's on his deathbed, Salman asks him, who's the most learned man after you? Well, actually, he dies. This man dies. And so once he dies, the people, they're very saddened, and they want to honor his life. But Salman tells him that this person was really evil, that he used to take all of your money, and he used to hide it, and he used to never help you on purpose, and he used to do all of these different evil things. So the people, they don't believe him until Salman shows them where this guy used to hide all of the treasures, all of the money that these people had been donating. He had kept in 7 different containers, and Salman shows them that he had been keeping all of this money. So when they see this, they're very upset, they're very annoyed and very frustrated, so much so that they take this man's body, his dead body, they crucify it, and they start stoning it. Anyways, after this guy dies, the people, they appoint someone new. And this person was a very amazing person. He was a very pious person. And Salman, he grew very close to him, and he said that this was the best person that I had ever met that did not pray 5 times a day. Basically saying that, when he's relaying the story later on, that after all of the Muslims that I know that pray 5 times a day, all of the Muslims that he was in close companionship with, after all of them, this bishop was the most pious person that he had ever met. But this person was getting old as well, and at his, when he was about to die, at his deathbed, Salman asked him, where is the next person that I should go to study? And this bishop says that, there's not many people left that I know, but there's one person. And this one person is in a different land. So if you can go there, then go there. So he goes to Mosul, which is the next area that he went to, that this most pious person was in now. So he goes there and he goes to this new bishop and he tells him his story and he tells him what he's been doing. And he follows this bishop and he's a good person. But once again, this person is really old. So this bishop, he's on his deathbed. And the same situation happens where Salman asks him, where should I go next? And this bishop tells him that there's only one person, and it's the bishop of Nasibin. So Salman travels there, and he's traveling, these are not like 1 hour flights. These are long weeks and months in the desert that he's traveling. So he goes to this next place and he tells the new bishop the same exact thing, and the bishop takes him in. And this bishop is also very old, and while he's on his deathbed, he gets asked the same question that Salman asked the other bishops. And this bishop, he tells him that the only other person that's practicing this faith is in Turkey. So Salman goes there, and in the meantime, he starts this business, and he's following a bishop over there who's also very old. And at his deathbed, Salman asks this bishop, he says, who should I go to next? And this bishop that's in Turkey, he says that there's nobody else other than us. Other than the people that you already went to, there's no one else. Other than the fact that there's a prophet that's going to be coming in the land of the Arabs. He's going to take refuge in a city of palm trees, and he gives him a couple of other signs. And he says that if you can go to this person, then go to this land if you can make it there. So he also tells him the other signs. He tells him that this man has a seal of prophethood between his shoulder blades on his back, and that he doesn't take from anything that's given as a charity, but he takes from gifts. So Salman finds a caravan that's from the Arab lands, and he tells this caravan, I have this business, I have some wealth. If you just take me to your land, I'll give you everything I have. So the caravan, they agree. And he gives them everything that he has, and he's just going along with them to Arabia. And as he gets there, they get to a point, and this caravan, they meet a couple of Jewish people, and they meet one Jew that wants to buy slaves and different pieces of merchandise from this caravan. And at this point, the caravan that took Salman, they betray him and they sell him as a slave. And he has nothing, so he can't really say, he can't really say that I'm not a slave. Once a group of people are saying that you're a slave, you sort of get stuck in that situation. So he gets sold. And Salman continues, he's bought by this slave and he gets moved, and he actually gets sold another time to another Jewish person, and that person brings him to Medina. And Salman, just sort of fast forwarding through this whole story, Salman, when he gets to Medina, he knows that this is the place. He hasn't heard that the Prophet ﷺ is there or not, but he knows that this is the place that he's supposed to be because of the characteristic features of Medina. So he gets there, and Salman, he's just living this life of slavery until one day one of the cousins of his master comes up to his master, and he tells him about the Prophet ﷺ, that this person has come with a message of prophethood, and there's a lot of people in Medina that are following him, and they're in Quba, and they're forming a big group. And when Salman, he was actually on top of a tree when he heard this, he starts running down the tree. And he almost falls on top of his master, because this is the news that he's been waiting for his entire life. And he goes to this cousin, and he asks him different questions about the Prophet, and he's starting to ask him all this different information. And his master looks at him and he says that this is none of your business, and he actually punches him in the face. But Salman now he knows that the Prophet ﷺ is there. So he's been searching for something his entire life, and he's sacrificed everything he's had since he was a young person to travel all around the world in search of this truth. And there's no way that he could, maintain his composure, maintain his sabr, his patience, through all of the different difficulties that he went through all of the different trips that he made, if he didn't have that sincere intention that he wanted to find the truth, that he wanted to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And inshallah, we'll continue this story in the second part of the khutbah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulih al-ameen, amma ba'd. So Salman, he's in Medina and he knows that the Prophet ﷺ is there. And he's overwhelmed with joy. And he's been told these multiple signs that the Prophet ﷺ actually carries with him. And so he prepares some food and he brings it to the Prophet ﷺ one of the nights in Khutbah. And he gives it to him. He greets the Prophet ﷺ and he gives this gift to him, this charity to him. And he tells him, this is a charity for you. And he watches as the Prophet ﷺ, he doesn't eat from this food, but he calls his companions over and they eat from the food, but he doesn't partake in it himself, the Prophet ﷺ. So then, later on, Salman, he goes back and he prepares some food again, and he brings it to the Prophet ﷺ, and he tells him that, look, I brought you this, and this is a gift for you. And he stands by and he watches the Prophet ﷺ, he calls his companions again, but this time the Prophet ﷺ also partakes of this food. So that's one sign. The second sign was already covered, that he was in the city of Medina, and the Prophet ﷺ, and Salman knew from the description of the city of Medina that this was the place. So those are two signs. And then the third sign, there's a beautiful story of where Salman al-Farisi, he goes to Jannat al-Baqir. He goes to the graveyard of al-Baqir. And the Prophet ﷺ, he was following a janazah there. And he goes to the Prophet ﷺ and he greets him, and he just asks him how he's doing and everything. And then he goes towards the back of the Prophet ﷺ. They're walking, and Salman wants to go towards the back of him and just sort of follow him. But he goes towards his back because he wants to see the seal of the prophethood that the Prophet ﷺ has between his shoulder blades. And the Prophet ﷺ sort of sensed this, so he sort of leaned his clothing back so that Salman could actually see the seal. And once Salman actually saw the seal of prophethood on the back of the Prophet ﷺ, he fell down immediately and he made sujood to the Prophet ﷺ, and he started kissing his feet. And when the Prophet ﷺ saw this, he made him immediately stand up, and he told him that we don't make sajda to people, and he told him these different things. But we look at the reaction of Salman when he sees this third sign that confirmed his belief about the Prophet ﷺ. And why was he so overjoyed? Why was he so enthusiastic? Why was he overcome with emotion when he saw this sign? It was because of the fact that he had this drive inside of him to find the truth, and he had this sincere intention to go and find the Prophet ﷺ. And it all stems back from the fact that he had a sincere intention to find the truth. That he only wanted to find the truth, no matter where it took him, no matter what happened to him. He didn't have any money, he didn't have any wealth. He was a slave when he becomes Muslim. He lost his family, he left his homeland. He went all over the world at that time, basically, in search of this truth, because he so deeply wanted to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Would we have done something, would we go out in search of anything? Nowadays we have everything at the touch, at our fingertips. Would we really put that much devotion and effort into finding the truth if we were in that situation? And the story of Salman is very beautiful. We know that he comes up with the idea for the trench in the Battle of Khandaq, and he has so many different stories with the companions and with the Prophet ﷺ. And there's an ayah that comes to mind when we talk about the story of Salman and these different types of stories. وَالَّذِينَ اهْتَدَوْا زَادَهُمْ هُدًى وَآتَاهُمْ تَقْوَاهُمْ. Those who are led to guidance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increases in them their guidance, and He causes them to grow closer to Him. He causes them to grow more in taqwa. And this is exactly manifested in the story of Salman and so many of the different companions. And just to complete today's khutbah is just one hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and this is just an emphatic statement of how important it is for our intention to be in line with our actions. So the Prophet ﷺ said that, on the authority of Abu Hurairah, he said that I heard the Prophet ﷺ say that verily the first to be judged on the day of resurrection will be a man who has died as a martyr. And that person will be brought forward, and that person will be told all of the different mercies and different blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him in this life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask this person, how did you express your gratitude towards me? Because of all of these different things I gave you, how did you express your gratitude? And this person will say that, I gave my life, I fought, and I died as a martyr for you, and only for you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say that, you're lying, that the only reason you did any of that, the only reason you went and fought for my sake in the world was so that people, when you were gone, would say that you were courageous and that you fought as a martyr and you died as a martyr. So, the real intention of this person comes out on the Day of Judgment. That this person only did this action, only did these deeds because he wanted to be talked about by other people. He wanted to be known as somebody who was courageous, and that that he was someone who died as a shaheed. And that person will be dragged on his face towards Jahannam. The next person that's going to be judged on the Day of Judgment, and these are actually the first 3 people that are going to be thrown into Jahannam. And this is a person that learned a lot of knowledge, and he learned the Quran, and he taught it through his life. Throughout his life, he just taught the Quran. And he'll be asked the same exact question, and he'll say that I taught the Quran, and I taught your ilm, and I taught your religion my entire life. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say that you're lying, and you only did this so that people could say that you were knowledgeable and that you were so and so. So he'll also be dragged to hellfire. And the third person is the person who gave a lot of wealth, he gave a lot of money in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once again he'll be asked, and he'll say that I gave all of this for you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say that you lie, and that the only reason that you did any of that was so that people would say that you give a lot of money and that you're very generous and that you give for every single cause. But you didn't do it for me. So you got your reward already. And you'll also be dragged towards Jahannam. So the essence of this story is the fact that, these are the first 3 people that are going to be judged and thrown into Jahannam on the Day of Judgment. And the fire of Jahannam will be kindled with these people's bodies. That, it's so important for us to have a sincere intention in every single action that we do. And even the best of actions, as these 3 people did, some of the best actions that are possible by a human being, the best of actions can be invaded and tainted with a bad intention. So, inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that in every single action that we do, that we have ikhlas and that we have sincerity in every single action so that we obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. وأوفوا إذا عاهدتم ولا تنقضوا الأيمان بعد توكيدها وقد جعلتم الله عليكم كفيلا فاتقوه وأقيموا الصلاة.